Let's call the meeting of September 17th, 2020 to order at 7:31 p.m. Roll call, please.
Okay. Director Boyd,
Here.
Director Decker,
Here.
Director Harvey,
Here.
Director Lohman,
Here.
Director Slater Carter.
Present. All are accounted for. President has no statement. Oral comments for items other than those on the agenda.
Greg's hand is up.
Rick's hand is up. Rick, yes.
Excuse me, Greg. Greg's.
Oh, Greg.
We all look alike.
Greg, go on.
Connection. I hope my connection is good enough that you can hear me. I hope there's a shared realization that we're all in this together when it comes to fire preparedness. I know that there were some comments by directors on my article that basically questioned whether I was misrepresenting things and so forth. I wanted to let you know that the issues of fire preparedness are not going away, that the MCC is forming a task force, that a majority of the MCC members are interested to extremely interested in topics of fire preparedness, that there will be an initial outline of fire preparedness issues being posted the next day or two, and the MCC will use that as a starting point for discussions, and that several of those items, including one that's coming up tonight, will involve some participation or analysis by Montara Water and Sanitary District. I would also suggest that if we're having a strategic planning session, we include whatever issues the MCC and, of course, the board believes are relevant in consideration of the strategic plan, the fire preparedness issues in the strategic plan. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that you will be hearing more about this topic.
Thank you, Greg. I do want to say that the Montara Water and Sanitary District is under no obligation to participate with the MCC. As a matter of policy, we may, but if it requires too much staff time, I will suggest that we are working on many things. The MCC is an independent body elected by the public that reports to the Board of Supervisors. Having spent, I've forgotten how many years, 12 years on it, it is welcome to do its due diligence, and I would caution you as a member of the MCC to make sure that what you decide to do is fact-based and not just based on the opinion of a few people. Yes, fire protection is very important, and this district actually became a public agency based on one of the major concerns of the community, which was fire protection. So no, this issue isn't going away. It has been a core concern of Montara and Moss Beach for as long as I've been here, and I appreciate that you're looking into it. And we will do what we can to give you the information we need, but it is all dependent on what our time and scheduling is. Thank you. Do I see any more? Scott?
Yeah, I just want to say, Greg, I offered some feedback on your write-up. I hope none of that was taken as anything against the issue of looking into it and thinking about it. I think it was all in the interest of trying to shed some light on things that are already in play and things, you know, existing guidance documents and so forth. So I think the inquiry is good, and I'm not saying anything negative about looking into it. if it came across that way, I apologize because I was just trying to shed some light into it.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Looking at my participants list, looking down the screen, I don't see any hands waving. So let's move on. There is no public hearing. There is no consent agenda. So we will move on to old business, of which there is none. Woohoo, guys, look at the time. We're making 6 minutes and we're 3/4 of the way through the agenda. This is awesome. Let's move on to new business. MWSD continues critical operations during public emergencies. I asked to have this on. One, in recognition of our staff who's doing a phenomenal job. Also, to inform the public that Montara is providing full resources during this time of trouble. And I'd like the public to know how much our staff is doing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. It's pretty much what we're trying to capture here. We're really bringing a status report to the board and just saying that we're still here despite everything that happens around us. And maybe can extend a thanks to the staff that's despite smoke and anything else always has the correct mask at hand for the situation, and continues to provide the services really that we usually provide. And it's not necessarily something that's, how I say it, it requires changing protocols right now, of course. There's a lot more effort that goes into some regular standard items that we usually do. For example, in twos, those can't be done in twos. You need to take 2 trucks. So things are rather cumbersome. But I think with particularly also with the recent fires, people on the coast side are affected by this. We all are affected by this. And I just want to remind everybody that our staff lives and works here, is impacted, and continues doing our job, doing the job they need to do. Like, for example, yesterday, they were out pretty much all afternoon fixing a leak again. And this was a less concerning situation, but regardless, there's a lot of effort that goes into navigating through all the various situations that we encounter right now in 2020. So that said, I think, again, we can just extend our thanks to our staff that continues working despite all the challenges. Thanks.
Next item, water main line extension status update for Big Wave Community Project. This is located at 380 Airport Street, Lot 7, Princeton by the Sea.
Yeah, thank you. That's also an information item, and we put this up because we got a lot of questions really about this in the recent weeks. There was some announcements made by Big Wave that the project would start, which triggered then, I guess, the community to check in with us and see what's going on our end on this. And so we thought we put a little bit of an information item up here, and that really confirms that Big Wave will start construction. We were told in this month, in September. It's planned to go through December. So the original plan is that everything is ready before Christmas, and we all hope that this is going to be the case. There was actually also a pre-construction meeting already, so things are really getting serious. Big Wave has pretty much everything lined up to commence the construction. We are right now still working on 2 items with them, really. One of them has to do with really the comprehensive liability insurance. That's something that they're actively working on right now. And we actually certain that we can complete this during the term of the agreement. And we're also hoping that another topic that we're still working with Big Wave on is the notification for the project. This is another reason why we brought this up, this item. We hope that this item itself is already part of a notification to the community that this will start very soon. We're concerned about the impacts to Airport Road, everything that's along Airport Road. It's a lot of parking. There is traffic. It is a road where we've seen some severe accidents in the recent years. So we're concerned about the safety, and we're hoping that the notification that Big Wave puts out is proper. There was already a notification sent that was county approved. That is clearly only, or really focusing on the on-site improvement and less geared to the off-site improvement. So that's where we think there's a little more attention required. Once again, really this is informationary, and Big Wave is proceeding with this, also submitted an application for connection for the building on lot 7. Thank you.
I have a question. Is there going to be any water service or sewer service interruption for Pillar Ridge? And if there is, I believe we need to have Big Wave even put a sign at each end of Airport Boulevard so that the people who are affected by that will be informed.
So with interruption, I assume you're talking about water service interruption, and that is not in the work. That's not planned. There is no need for Pillar Ridge's water supply or the connection to be interrupted some sort. This is really a brand new pipe that's tying into a different pressure zone. That's the reason we want to be able to deliver the fire suppression that Big Wave needs through the higher pressure zone. That's the reason for that longer extension. So there is no need to interrupt the Pillar Ridge connection or any other pipe, really. There is probably going to be a very short, brief shutdown on Los Baños and Airport Road. I'm not even sure if that's even needed. I think there is actually already a valve in the ground that alleviates all shutoffs for this purpose. So besides filling, back T testing, I can't see a reason to shut down really any other mains. So no impact to any other customers that I can foresee.
And the sewer service is provided by,
Granada Community Services District.
good,
Good question, Catherine, for the public.
thank you. All right, reports.
We have a hand up.
I'm sorry. Oh, I see Greg Diegas. Okay. There you are.
I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I do not have in writing from CAL FIRE, and I will get them in writing when I can. A couple of years ago, the estimated fire storage requirement for Big Wave, back when it was 200,000 something square feet, was 600,000 gallons. The updated estimate is 1,500 gallons per minute for 4 hours, which works out to 360,000 gallons of fire storage. I have a very bad internet connection, I gather, because I'm hearing some of you be interrupted. So let me know if I need to repeat this. My question is, what information has Montara received regarding the need for this fire flow and fire storage? And what plans are in place to expand fire storage because of the Big Wave project?
So
Did anybody hear that?
Yes, we heard it. Thank you.
I think I heard it. Some of us. Your question was, what information did Big Wave, did Montara receive about the fire flow requirements? So the information that we received, of course, came through San Mateo County through the permits, as well as, of course, there's a fluent process with Big Wave, but we're really getting the information from San Mateo County for the requirements through the approved plans, for example. What was the other? Then you mentioned that this is there's a potential need of 1,500 gallons for X hours. What I can say is we have 1.3 million gallons in storage sitting above that can be utilized for fire protection.
I would add, Greg, that you should, when you're checking with the fire department, get the date and the timing of the project. At one point in time, that project was going to be supplying its own water from groundwater wells. I believe that was the reason
Also,
for the
the
offset
materials,
storage. I heard someone talking.
also
Father
the
Chris-
construction material, that's me.
Yeah.
I wanted to that, so the construction material changed throughout the process, and the fire department's requirements for the protection changed along with the project.
So the timing on these requirements and what was going on with the project is also critical to whether they and actually the key question is for the fire department is, do they still apply? Greg. I see your finger up. Yes, Greg.
Again, my connection is bad, and I might have to put this in writing, but we currently reserve 240,000 gallons of that $1,000,004 for firefighting storage. If this project by itself requires 360,000 gallons, the question is, are we then going to reserve 600,000 gallons and thus, or 360,000 and put the $250,000 we have toward that number? And related question is, if we do that, does that not then reduce the water we have reserved for projects like affordable housing and growth?
I'm not, Greg, I'm not 100% sure if I understood the question properly. What I heard is that you're.
I'll tell you what. I'll put it in writing to the board. And
what I heard, part of it had to do with a question of, is it an either or? So if we have to reserve 300,000 gallons for Big Wave and we already reserve a certain amount for, say, Pillar Ridge, do we add the numbers, or do we reserve the bigger number? Or is there some other way that we come at looking at the problem? And I would add, are we, in thinking about it, do we think about one localized event like Big Wave is burning, God forbid, or any other project is burning, or two are burning at once, or?
Okay, well, let me maybe try to get to this in a bit different way. The $200,000 gallon designation is really something that this district decided itself that a minimum of that needs to be reserved for fire protection. I'm going to repeat, we have 1.3 million gallons in our tanks, and that is what's available for firefighting. So I'm understand I'm not answering the question directly, but the question really is, I think there's some things mixed mixed together. So what you really have to consider is how much water do we have available to fight the fires? And that is 1.3 million.
And I hear several assumptions in your questions, Greg, to get back to what Scott was saying. It sounds to me like you're assuming that we're going to have two major fires simultaneously. How much water we have is not nearly as important as the capability of the fire district to fight two major fires at one time. I'm not sure they have the resources. And if those two are burning simultaneously, I'm
They
wondering
do.
what others are.
According to the ISO report, according to the ISO report, they
They do.
do have that capability according to the ISO report.
Good. But the other is, are these things going to be happening simultaneously? And I think maybe the ISO addresses the water situation. I will also say that if there are two major fires going here, CAL FIRE does have access to helicopters and water from the ocean and other things. So it's not a simple arithmetic equation, and there's a lot of resources available. Any more questions on this item? Hello, Dave. Moving right along then, let's go down to reports. Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Side. Rick, do you want to take that?
We have one more agenda item, Catherine. I may have overlooked that. We have review.
Fine print. Oh, yes, you are correct. Review and possible action concerning district-owned real property inventory and assessment of property needs.
That's how we go so fast. We just skip a bunch of items and we get out quicker.
That it works.
Clemens, if you at some point, since some of these properties are close to the point of one of my properties, I have to recuse myself, so I can't be seen or heard. At some point, Clemens, you just want to mute me when it's appropriate, and I can listen, and then when it's appropriate, get me back in.
I'm going to do that right now. So we're just going to say temporarily goodbye. You're going to hear us. So unmute, hold on. First, you're moving around here. Stop video. Okay. All right. Okay, so I have Rick large on the screen for whatever reason right now, but he can't see us anymore, so the camera is off. Let me see if I can.
Okay, this was an item that Scott brought up during the hearings.
Okay, thanks.
And I've been bringing up the Caltrans right-of-way for years, so that's where we're at.
Yep, thanks, Catherine. So, I mean, just really briefly introduction. I mean, what we're really doing here is we, own, operate water storage, of course, treatment facilities on the sewer side, many facilities that are spread out throughout town. So we own a number of parcels throughout Montara and Moss Beach. We were really asked to do a little bit a review of that and an inventory and an assessment. And so what we're identifying here is some parcels that we're interested in maybe acquiring that could be of interest, and others that we see that we own that may actually be parcels that the district could potentially declare surplus. We have right now 2 undeveloped residential properties. One of them, so they both actually came with a water acquisition. One of them is located on Oak Avenue in Moss Beach, and the other one is on Terra Alta and Loma Vista Street. We actually explored on both sites, tried to see if they're feasible for water exploration, did some test wells, and we determined that they're unfortunately not feasible for well development. There's not really a way to extract water from these sites. Another property that we own also came with the water side, and that actually has a well site on it. That is the park site that's located along Montara Creek between George and Date Street in Montara. And there we have a parcel that hasn't been used for decades now. And this has to do with the close vicinity of Montara Creek. One would think that makes it actually more suitable for a well, but unfortunately, there is the potential for essentially surface water, creek water, or water that is very close to the creek, somehow entering the well. And that's one of the reasons why this well hasn't been pumped in the recent decades. So this site, it really is also unfeasible for groundwater exploration. Then we've looked on the other side of lands where we think that there may be some advantages. Catherine actually mentioned already the Caltrans right-of-way. And now we also are actually looking at the Miller Havis Ranch, that's 771 Rivera Road in Montara. We already have one of the wells is actually, there's a parcel that's on that ranch that we own actually, the Wagner well. Same with the Drake well. We also have two boreholes. One is actually built out as a production well, could be utilized as production well, but is currently used as monitoring well. So we're looking really at trying to collect, more information. We're trying to go down the path of seeing if we can potentially sell these properties that I just mentioned. What we're really asking for the board is to empower the manager to conduct research and perform due diligence. And that includes, of course, discussions with the property owners and potential purchasers and sellers. So we're asking the board tonight to essentially authorize this investigation of the potential disposition and the purchase of various properties, and also to assign district representatives and negotiators for this. That's the real purpose.
Hey, questions? I don't see any hands madly waving, and I see Dave Olson has his hand up on screen.
Yeah, on the Havis Miller property, there are 7 houses that are occupied on that property. It's 245 acres. That, as I recall, it's on the market for $10 million. I'm curious if the district did purchase that. I'm not going to argue about whether it's worthwhile or not at that kind of a price. What would you do in theory with the dwellings that are on it and the residents who live there?
As board member, as board president, I will answer that this is in the investigation stages. And we haven't made any policies or proposals. We need to find out a whole lot more information about it. These might be perfectly fine, perfectly wonderful dwellings. They may not be, who knows? Nobody knows this, and this is all part of our due diligence for this.
Well, I've been in one of them, so I know at least some of them are very habitable.
Good. Thank you. And I look forward to any more information you can share with us. Any more questions? Oh, and let me add, when we get to the point of where we've made a decision to go forward or not to go forward, certainly the public will be thoroughly involved. This is, um, as you say, the price tag is up there and it's a critical point. Who knows, Greg? Maybe we can find a way to put 5 million gallons worth of fire storage at the top of that ranch or on the Caltrans right of way. And all we have to do, figure out after that is how to pay for it. So yes, the public will be involved. That's been our policy. That's been our practice for a very long time. Thank you, Dave. Greg, I see you're about to speak.
The answer is a fire district will help you pay for it, as has been done elsewhere.
That would be wonderful. And also the operations costs, I'm sure.
Just a quick reminder that the people who fund both agencies are the people who live here.
Right. So I see no more questions. Do we have a motion to authorize investigation of the potential distribution and purchase of various properties and assist district representatives, negotiators?
So moved.
make that motion.
Okay, I
I'll
hear
second-
a
I'll
motion
second with the
by
understanding that
Peter
I'll
and a second by Scott, with the
I'll second.
understanding,
I'll second with the understanding that we are talking about the properties identified in the item.
yes.
Now, I probably should be clear that for the Caltrans item, the district already established negotiators before. That was myself and our legal counsel. So I think what we really need right now is essentially the board authorizing, making suggestions who the representatives negotiators are actually.
As board members.
Yes, well, yes. So, I mean, I think, Christine, I think maybe that's a clarification for you, but we probably should ask for, again, I mean, before it was myself and Dave Schricker were the authorized negotiators. So there should be, I think, a discussion about who that should be, and the board should then designate the negotiators.
Could
I
I,
think-
could I try to short circuit this a little bit? And I'd like to suggest that what we do is that we designate the manager and council as the designated representative and negotiators.
Thanks, Scott.
Let's just start there, but I think the treasurer should be on this committee when we finally get down to talking about numbers. I think it's very important to have Peter there, if you don't mind, Peter.
I don't mind.
I'm not certain that falls sort of within the action item. Certainly,
Okay,
the board can establish a committee if we get that far. But at this point, I think the designating the manager and the council, general counsel, if that's what the board desires, would be appropriate at this point for this item.
well, let's take up the board members committee later then, and let's just vote on this one. Roll call vote, please.
Director Boyd,
Okay, aye.
Director Decker,
Aye.
Director Harvey,
Aye.
Director Loman.
Oh, he can't vote.
Oh, right. Director Slater Carter.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously, and would we say, Christine, with one, it's not an abstention, one reclusion?
I think that the record will reflect that Director Lohman recused himself. And in the minutes, we can indicate it was unanimous with the remaining directors. If you have any questions on that, Tracy, let me know with the minutes.
I think it would be worth noting that Director Lohman could neither be seen nor heard during the deliberation or the vote.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Okay, we are moving now into reports back to Midcoast, back to Sewer Authority Midcoast side. And I will say the last agenda, which was Monday, was we received and filed our audited financial statements for 2018, 2019.
Can we bring Rick back into the meeting?
He's got audio.
Oh, trying.
Oh, thanks, Rick.
I just wanted to say real quick that I'm recusing and not reclusing.
Oh, right. Thank you. I keep thinking you as that recluse on the mountain.
Reclusing.
I think we're all.
That's only during the pandemic.
There you go. In any event, this is the second audit in less than 12 months. The first one was not so good. This one is much improved. And now we're working on the 2019-2020 audit, and the auditor expects to get that out without any problems. And so he said 3 audits in 1 year is not a usual business practice, but was very, very highly congratulatory and in praise of the SAM financial staff.
I just want to say he was very positive about how far we've gotten and how few problems we should have moving into the future with everything they've done over the last couple of years. So it was a good report.
Then there were several items about maintenance, repair, and equipment, which I won't bore you with. The last one, and I would suggest this is an interesting one for the public. I had asked to have it on, and that was to receive a brief history of the collections contract. Again, it was information only, but there are negotiations or will be negotiations going on about collections, and not a whole lot of people have been aware that SAM actually has 2 functions. One is the operations and treatment plant and the pipes and so on. The other is a collection system where it works under contract with the 3 member agencies, and that has been something that has been discussed quite a bit at least at our district. And I thought it was important to get everyone up to date on where we are and what the conditions are, and so that when it is time for negotiations, people will have information on which to follow up on.
I'd like to add to that I believe Montara and Granada are operating under multi-year contracts that offer stability to the workers and continuity and a little security, whereas Half Moon Bay is continuing to do it year by year and kind of holding out to the last second, which is kind of irritating, I think.
Well, more than that, they have contracted with Mark Thomas, another agency, to supervise the SAM crew.
They must have lots of money is all I can say. They talk about being in trouble. They're spending money like crazy, and including sticking us with half the bills, half the price of some of these bills, to the tune of $100,000 in overruns and things like that, which we have to pay half of. So more comments on that later.
More comments on that later. Yes. Moving on to Midcoast Community Council. Dave, would you like to do the honors of a report on Midcoast Council?
Not really. Hadn't even thought about it. But I can answer questions.
What's the what other than fire, no pun intended, what are the other hot topics on the future agenda?
Fire is actually the hot topics, particularly clearing eucalyptus. And Supervisor Horsley has been working with Kellex at RCD even before the fire started, to do some expedited permits for eucalyptus trimming and removal. And GGNRA is doing some as well. So that's really the big hot topic. Other than that, it's wrapping up Connect the Coast Side. The end of that is in sight. There's still some disagreement between the County Coastal Commission and MCC on whether that goes to the Coastal Commission or not.
I take it the MCC is right in saying it does need to go to the Coastal Commission, and I urge you and applaud you for your steadfastness in laws and regulations.
I got a question for Dave.
Yeah, go right.
Yeah, there two sort of traffic issues have popped up. One is I'll just use the number 10 major signals that Caltrans wants to install through Moss Beach and Montara. For comments on that specific thing, I'm kind of against that. They tried that before with 75 signs and lights one time. Do you have contacts or places where we can write and give comments on that issue?
Yeah, it's actually in the flyer on the MCC site, and it was originally supposed to be done by September 13th, but they've extended it to September 30th and possibly further.
Okay, and as part of the, I guess, Connect the Coast Side, there have been bids by, I believe, Big Wave to put in temporary stoplights at Cypress. Temporary, of course, is step one for permanent stoplights. And is that a separate place to comment, or do you have a connection for that one also?
Well, that unfortunately, it's sort of a done deal the way the permits were written. The way that they left it was Big Wave can provide an in lieu fee of the cost of the intersection improvements. They had offered $250,000. The county thinks it's going to be way more. The amount is yet to be negotiated. So
The last thing we need is a permanent stoplight here.
MCC has access to a few volunteer experts who can give a community-based fee on that. Since the county has underwritten so much of this Big Wave project with our money already, I don't want them to take our safety for granted too.
Yes, and the MTC has actually hired roundabout experts on that. I think pretty much everybody on the government side has agreed it's going to be a roundabout. It's a question of whether it's, whether they buy all the land up front for 2-lane, which won't be needed for many years, or not. But our guess is that Big Wave would be responsible for $500,000 to $750,000.
I will
Thanks,
say
Dave.
that Keaton Airhan was supposed to have, I believe it was 2 left turn lanes. Anyway, the intersection at Capistrano was, again, corners were cut after the deal was made, leaving the community under what am I looking for? Infrastructured, my own word, but it always comes back to bite us later. So thank you for your hard work on this.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And anytime you want to come back, or Greg, if you want to make reports on the MCC, please feel free. We will
After
always
the election.
Well, Greg can attend as a member of the public and tell us what he sees. But in any event, okay, moving right along. Oh dear.
I should also add, we are having candidate forums on September 21st and 22nd with the League of Women Voters.
Thank you.
Very good.
I just like to make one quick comment on the candidate nights. These are all always super good and super informational. I certainly, assuming it's going to be remote, as much of the public who possibly can needs to listen in on that, because it's one of the best forums I know on the coast to learn what's happening and who to vote for.
Right. And don't vote until you've watched it. Moving right along, do we have a CSDA report, Rick?
No meetings, no report.
Okay, no LAFCO either.
No, it's next month in October.
Okay, attorney's report? No.
You're muted.
That's okay. I saw her shake her head. Director's reports? Oh, Dave, that looks good.
Catherine, in another meeting I was in, can we come up with a symbol or a thing that says, stop talking because you're muted and unmute yourself? We need something, some symbol we can do, you know, circle with a cross to say, you're muted,
Hold it up.
unmute yourself.
Yeah, that isn't a command on Zoom. I wish that Scott's got it. How about, oh, you're going on too long.
No,
General manager's report.
You know, there is actually one topic that I wanted to bring up tonight, and that is we are actually looking to create now a virtual tour, system tour of the Montara water and sewer systems. We gave that a shot just before the shelter-in-place order actually kind of canceled our plans for a physical tour. So we decided to pick this topic up and are looking at a potential date of October 14. That's a Wednesday before our second board meeting. So we potentially have a board meeting the day after. So it would be on the 14th. We're looking at a time slot from 6:30 to 8 p.m. It wouldn't necessarily be a requirement for the board to participate, but I'd say it would be really nice for everybody to at least say hello. So just a query, is this a good time? Is this something that anyone, that all of you could attend?
Is it going to be dark then?
At
At
6,
8 o'clock at night, you know, in October, it's going to be pitch black or?
so
Well,
virtual.
It's virtual, so there's a lot of pictures.
Okay, I mean, I thought we were going to virtually tour it with cameras or something, so.
No.
Well, no, I mean, it's
Okay.
via Zoom and slideshow and presentation.
Right.
Good.
I'll work my busy schedule and I'll be available.
Scott,
Okay,
can you be available at least to say hi?
almost certainly.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll send out an email, of course, and reminding everybody and asking everyone. Okay, well, thanks.
Well, let me add that even if you can't be here or watch on the October 14, we are going to post it on our website so that folks who can't tune in, who can't be there, who can't be on screen, can tune in and see what's going on.
What was the time again, Clemens?
We're looking at a time slot of 6:30 p.m. We're thinking it would probably, it's going to take until 8.
Okay.
Good. Well, let's move on then. Let's recess the open session meeting, and all those who who cannot be here for closed session, we will say hello, and PCTV will sign off, and Dave will sign off, and then we will re-adjourn in closed session when I see everybody here.
Thank you.
Bye,
Hi,
Tracy.
Tracy.
Bye, Dave.
I'm going to recluse myself, so.